Hi, my name is Ibaka McQuelly, and they call me Sam. I'm instructor for MKNet Academy, and this video is going to be setting up GNS3, and this is part one. So we're gonna we're gonna dive right into how to set up GNS3 because you definitely do need this setup to be able to use a hands-on to build your architecture going forward with all the videos that you're going to buy from our website. So pay attention. This video is free because GNS3 is a free software, and all the other links that I have down there that have the images that you're going to need for GNS3 are also free because I bought them, but I'm allowed to give them free because I bought them. But my warning is that do not sell those images because you don't have the right to. If you do that, you're gonna be breaking Cisco's and Palo Alto's infringement rights, and that has nothing to do with me. Again, I only use them for training purposes, and that's what you should be doing the same. So we will go right into it. I'm gonna open my browser. So you can use any browser. I'm gonna use the Internet Explorer. And we're going to do two things. We're going to go directly to gns3.com, www.gns3.com, and we're going to create an account. You're going to create an account, just a regular account. It's going to ask you for some basic information. It's going to use your email to authenticate it, and after you do that, it's going to come here and log in, right? It's just a basic account. You just want to have no people who are coming here to download this stuff for free. So when you do that, you're going to come here and click on free download, right? I'm using Windows computers, and we're going to talk about type of Windows computers that I recommend for you guys to use. I'm using Windows, and I'll click here, says, and the download is going to start, right? Now it's going to take a second, and it's going to go there. So I'm going to pause it because I already have this information. So I downloaded it version 2.2.42. So whenever you're watching this video and doing this process, you might have a more up-to-date version than what I have right now. So pay attention to that. So when you have that, that's going to be in your computer. It's going to be downloaded to your download folder. So you're going to open Windows Explorer. You're going to go to downloads, and it's going to be right there. Now I don't have the downloads because I saved them somewhere on my package. So it's going to look like this. This folder is going to come in a zip folder. Actually, sorry, it's going to look like this. It's going to look like this. And then we're going to click on it. Double click on this, and it's going to start the process of downloading. Sorry, actually installing the GNS3 software. But there's a caveat somewhere right here. So if you notice, I'll click next. I didn't have to do anything so special about it. Now, the most important thing that I want you to pay attention is right here in this video. Now, where it says what to check. So GNS3, again, I'm using the GNS3 desktop version, and I'm not using the web client because GNS3 is a software where you can, if you set it up the right way, you can actually use it anywhere without internet. I like to sit in a park, and just open my GNS3 and play on my network and stuff without actually being on the internet. So I'm going to check the little thing that says GNS3 VM because that's the VM. It's a pre-built Linux server that has been built for us for free. And that's the server, and it's pre-built with the version that you're downloading. So that server, we're going to install it into VM Workstation. I already have VM Workstation installed. Again, you can use VM Player, any version of it, any version of VM Workstation. Again, I have a link for some old versions of VM Workstation, I think .12, that works just fine. So you can download it. Remember, again, I said the softwares are free. I bought them, but it's out for us to use it. Okay, so we can learn. So I'm going to check that and click next. So when I click next, it's going to start the process, to download the software. So here we're going to choose VM Workstation. Again, if you're using VM Player, VM whatever, choose the first option. Unless you have a VM EXXI, then you have to go to EXXI. But if you don't have that, then you want to use the VM. workstation. It works just fine. And then we click install. It's going to go through the process of installing it. So this is going to take some time. While it's doing that, we're going to minimize this and we're going to come to this version of this. Now, this file has been, it's a folder. This is also going to be in your download folder, right? So it's going to have, let me do it this way. Hold on. So when this process is done, I think actually let's wait for this process to be done, because what it's doing is it's down. See how it says download the VM workstation. So what it's doing is the VM is this file that I already have here, but I'm going to let it go through so you can see the process, because we have to unzip that file. So while that is going on, let's do, so we can close this. You don't have anything to do with that. Let's go to the VM workstation. I'm going to click on this and open it. Okay, now we're gonna set up this program such that we can use our local computer, to be able to power this program on the server, and the server is going to control GNS3. So I'm gonna open PowerShell, or I call CMD. Type CMD, Windows command prompt. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to show you the type of NICs that are network interface cards that are actually on this computer. They're actually virtual network interface cards that comes with this thing. So I'm going to type the most powerful command that every network guy should know, and the only one they should probably learn. There's a lot of other Windows commands. You actually don't need them. Some folks will tell you they need them, but I don't think you do. So it's ipconfig /all. That shows you everything that you need as far as when it comes to IP, because you're a network person. Your focus is IP and MAC addresses. That's what you want to pay attention to, and DNS servers and stuff like that, DHCP servers. You can only see that by typing this command on a Windows CLI command prompt. So you see that the GNS3 is done, continues to do what it's doing. It's extracting a bunch of stuff out of the back end. Let's continue. So as you can see here, there's several VMNet. See, we're going to use the VMNet one. You can see that it has an IP, but because I put it there because I did some configuration previously, but I'm going to show you how to change that IP, right, manually to what it is right now. Usually it comes in with some random 192.168 IP that was put in here, by the computer, right? And I changed it to this, but I'm going to show you how to change it to this, right? So I changed it to a /25. And that is pretty much what I want you to see. If you scroll down, you're going to see it's my Wi-Fi and there's IPs that is coming from my Wi-Fi and everything like that. So that's why that command is very powerful. So I can minimize this, go back to our configuration. It's going to ask you for this. You actually don't need this, so we just click no, and you can start your GNS3, right? I'm going to start it. It's going to open a browser for just to say, hey, thank you for doing that, whatever, thank you for looking at stuff, which you don't have to do anything from that point in. So let's move on to okay, let's go to downloads. So this is the file I was talking about. So it has added the Linux server as a zip file. So we have to unzip it. So all you have to do is right click, extract, and it's going to extract. I'm going to pause it. It's going to extract that file out of that into something like this one, right? Which is what I already have on my folder in here. So it's just gonna take the file out of the zip file and put it as a regular file, right? Now, what is in that file? It's the Linux server, which we're going to install. We're going to actually open in VM Workstation. That's what we're going to do first. So let's close this. So we know what the file is. Let's go and open VM Workstation. And we're going to start by opening this. But before we start there, let's play around with the NIC, the VMNet 1. So we're going to go to Edit, Virtual. And I'm going to touch the net 1, change settings, yes. And I'll be able to, when I click on it again, and I'll be able to change it. So remember it was on 192.168, just some subnet, but you can customize it so that we can always remember the IP. You can put anything there, 172 or whatever, but I just like to do 7.7.7.0, which is, I like 7. I was born on July, so I like 7. 7.7.7.0, that's the network IP, and the subnet mask I'm using 7.7.2/24, and the DHCP. I click on DHCP. I'm starting it, all the way to DHCP dot. So I'm gonna start with 1 all the way to 255, because S/25 gives you /20 /25 /24 gives you 254 IPs, available IPs. That's minus the network and the broadcast, right? So I'm gonna click OK there, OK there. And we are going to open, not create. We're going to open it. So it's right there. So again, it was under my images. Go to my images and just open, touch it, open it, and it's going to import it. Now it wants me to give it a name. I'm just going to give it just the name it has, GNS NGS, right? GNS S3 VM. That's what it is. So you see how it defaults to the documents folder. There's a folder there's a default folder that's created. It's called virtual machine. That's why it creates all your virtual machines. So I'm going to import it, and it's going to import that server, the Linux server, pre-built Linux server, into our environment. Let's just wait for it. By the way, I think we already have our GNS3 installed. So, but we can't start it because the server is not ready yet. So we'll have to start the server. We'll have to build the server. Actually, not building. We'll have to configure the server, just customize it so it can talk to our network, our VNet 1, our virtual network interface, and it should be good to go. Now, here we go. Our server is here. All right, so we're going to go to Edit Virtual Machines, Settings. Now I'm gonna have to change the RAM. So my computer has a 16 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm gonna give about 12 gigabytes of RAM to this GNS3 program, right? Because I'm gonna be using a lot of RAM on this thing. So since I don't know what 12 gigabyte is in megabytes, I'm gonna do a little arithmetic. Let's calculate. Just hit, search your calculator. Now I do know 1 gigabyte is 1024. So I'm just going to multiply that by 12, right? And that's the number. So 12288. That's the number I'm looking for to put in here. 12288. Sorry, 122288. All right, megabytes. So that's 12 gigabyte. The processor, I do have about 6 processor, I think, because I have the AMD Ryzen 9. I'm going to talk about AMD Ryzen 9, why I'm going to recommend that computer. We'll talk about it in a little bit here. So AMD Ryzen 9. So I'm going to give each, 2 processor for that, 2 processor for the core processor. So again, this is sometimes I do Windows. I'm not going to go into the detail why it's separate like that, but can read about it. So just do 2, or if your PC, again, you might not know what your PC is, but you can just Google it. The only way to know is to the computer that you have. So for you to know the kind of computer you have, again, this is only for Windows computers because that's what I'm using. So I can go to File Explorer, right? I'm gonna scroll to this PC, right click, properties. See, it's gonna tell you the kind of computer, kind of processor you have. You can highlight this number, this thing, and then Google it. It's gonna tell you the number of processors that this specific type has. I think mine is about 6 or 7. I'll just assume. Uh, Not assuming, sorry. Don't assume. I Googled it before and I know 6 and 7. So I'm gonna use 4 of those, right? 4 of those. Now, when you Google yours, let's say you have 7, just Google it. How many processors are there? So let's say somebody says 7 or 3 or 5, right? Just then you can just use 1 1 or so or 2 2 for 4, which works just fine still. So just don't just go over there and put 4 because your computer might not have a lot of CPU processors, depending on what you bought, right? Which we're going to get into that. What type of computer for you to buy, you have to buy. So I'm going to close this. So I'm going to use 2 2, and again the virtual Intel VT thing here, that tells me that the motherboard, the virtualization technology on the motherboard has been activated. Also, there's a way, if you don't see these, that means yours has not been activated and this machine is not going to start. So you can just Google virtualize Intel VT-X. As soon as you type that, a lot of videos going to come up on how to activate that thing. It's probably like 2 or 3 minutes video. Okay. Moving forward. Now let's go to the network adapters. It usually comes up with 2 network adapters. I'm not sure why. So I only need 1. I'm going to take off 1, and the one that is remaining, I'm going to not use the bridge because I don't want to use my internet. I want to customize it. So I'm going to use the customized one here. I'm going to choose the one that I customized already, which is the VMNet. I'm going to set that. So this machine, VM machine that I'm creating right now, well, that I'm configuring or setting up right now, is going to use that VMNet subnet, right? And I'm just going to click OK. So as you can see, 12 gig, 4 processor, and the hard drive is not really important. Just leave it at default, and that's how it is. So I'm going to click start. Before I go there, before I click start, let me say a little bit about the computer, the type of computer that you need to get. So I'm just going to go to Google and AMD, type Ryzen, AMD. It's called AMD Ryzen. I like type Ryzen. AMD Ryzen. See, so you have AMD Ryzen 3, AMD Ryzen 5, and AMD Ryzen 7. But what you're looking for is the numbers behind the 35709, right? The most recent one is 9. So see this number here, 5900X. Now, this is the number of processors. It tells you how it runs things when you open it on a computer. You can open your internet browser, you can play cards, you can open a lot of things that opens on your computer. It could be gaming, That's what actually helps that to work pretty fast. Now, see this other one here says AMD Ryzen 7. So the 7 obviously came before the 9. But this 7 is actually more powerful than that 9. Why? Because this 7 has 7,700 and actually has 7,700 processing power. Why this one has what 5,900x processing power? So again, that's what actually makes the computer more powerful. It's not just numbers. Yes, the numbers tells you the most recent one, but if you have like a 3 or 5 that has more processing power, buy those because those are cheaper. Okay, these computers are going to, again, buy the refurbished one. You don't need to buy a brand new computer. Nope, buy a refurbished one. For example, let's say we want to buy this one, right? Let's say refurbish. I'm just going to take that off because it's going to confuse this AI. Refurbish. All right. So you see, these are computers that cost you about $200. $200, $100 something. See, So again, it's not the screen. You have bigger screen, small screen, that doesn't matter. That's your preference, right? Again, computers can have up to 128 gigabyte, like that $199 from Best Buy over there. That's just fine. You don't need no hard drive. Okay, what you need is the RAM and the processor. Those are two things that you need to run this GNS3 processes, routers and switches within that environment. Okay, so I look at this one. This is like you know, that's a good laptop right there that you can get. You can grab that. Okay. Um, and another thing you're gonna need is the RAM. Okay, let's say you get a laptop that has about 4 gigabytes of RAM, like this one. And laptops always come with two slots, right? They say if you have my laptop has 16 gigabytes, I can bet you. Well, I'm not betting you. I opened the laptop. Again, to open a laptop, just go to Home Depot and get a little screw thing and open the laptop from the back. Watch a little video about the version of the laptop that you have. Trust me, you have like 15 of them out there showing you how to open a laptop. Open the laptop and go to and look the video, and they're going to tell you where the RAM is. You can change those RAMs. You go to Amazon, buy the RAM. So you're going to open the RAM, take the chip out. There's a number at the chip. Take that number and put it in Amazon, right? Amazon is going to give you a same version of that chip. The chip is the RAM, the little RAM chip. On the RAM, there's usually two slots in the laptop. Um, if I have a 16 gigabyte, so mine came in with two 8 gigabytes of RAM, right? So all I'm going to do is take off the 8, right? So you're going to lose 8. Well, you're going to buy a 24, which is cheaper by what, like $50 or maybe less than that. You're probably going to have a 24 gigabytes of RAM from Amazon. You buy it, put it in the second slot. Now you have 24 plus 8. That's about 30 something gigabytes of RAM. But if you go and buy a laptop that has a 30 something gigabytes of RAM, trust me, it's going to be at least $1,000 plus. But you just spent like what, $50 to make that laptop become a 30 some $1,000 worth of laptop. So you can build your own stuff. That's what we do here. We're engineering and stuff. So that's how you're gonna do that. Make that happen for you. Okay. Now, again, I highly recommend Windows computers. Okay, any version of Windows, that's fine. Doesn't matter. This is what matters: the CPUs, the RAM, not the screen. You can project it to bigger screen however you want. That's your personal preference. All right, let's jump back into where we were. Now we got the GNS3 ready. Let's power it. Let's power the server. Wait for it to put an IP. So it's gonna run through. Takes a couple seconds. It's booting. Alrighty. So we have our IP, right? So it did take the .2 IP. So um, so we're gonna start. Let's start our GNS3 program right here. Double click on that. GNS3 software. Okay, GNS3 software is started. Now it does not recognize anything because it doesn't know what to do. It doesn't run itself. The VM server. So see how it's searching for the VM server. It kind of recognizes it, but it doesn't. Excuse me. It doesn't actually start it. So let's cancel that. Actually recognizes it. But let me show you how to add it. I think it recognizes it because I did install it. So I installed it before, so it just kind of like cache actually gets it to recognize it. But let me show you how to start it. Okay, how to add this GNS3 server. So you're gonna go, because when you start your own computer, you're gonna see it like this. You're gonna go to help. Again, you're doing this while this thing is powered on the VM side, right? I'm trying to associate that server to this server associated because mine I had it before. I'm going to show you how to do it. So you're going to go to help. setup wizard, leave it the way it is. Okay, click on next. Look for the local host. Okay, the local host is what? 10.10.10, sorry, 777.1. Okay, because this computer, the computer is taking .1 while the server is taking .2. Okay, but we're gonna have an issue if if let's say if the server takes .1, the computer takes .1, and the server takes .1, it's gonna be conflict of issue. There's gonna conflict of IPs, because remember it's a DHCP. It lists IPs. If I give one to this, I give to the next person. So, but if I configure the DHCP to start using one, it's going to give one to everybody. It's going to give one to this person, and it might give one to the next person. So that might create some conflicts, right? But good thing is it grabbed two, and we have one here for the computer. So we're going to choose one, right? Again, it uses GNS3 uses 30 TCP ports 3080 to communicate to the server. So it's going to hit next. So it took a while. You have to be patient. It's communicating now to that server, and it tells you right there, right? See how it reboots the server to tell you that I have communication. So now when GNS3 restarts, it automatically pushes the server to reboot. But before we go there, I want to show you something here. You can see that the server is right now, right? Now, during the normal process, make sure you change these things. It's going to be 1 and some other number here. Make sure you match it with the same number, the 12 gig that we did the last time, right? The one what we added to the VM workstation. So make sure you change that to 12, which is 12288. This is 12 gigabyte. Also, you change the processors to 4, right? You hit next and finish. And that's how this thing is going to turn to green. So that means the GNS3 communicates now with the server. So if I close this GNS3 right here, it's going to close the server. See, it shuts down the server. I can exit this thing out. But as soon as I start the GNS3, let me drag it here. So again, patience. So don't think because it's not doing anything, that means it's not working. It is working at the back end. So see how it's gray? I want you to see something. See how it's gray? Whenever you have this gray thing, yeah, you want to wait for it to come green. Okay. So it's going to boot it. As soon as you see the IP, do not exit out. Don't close it. Just minimize it. Remember, this is the server that runs the GNS3. Okay, so it pulls an IP. We're going to minimize it, right? As soon as that happens, this becomes green. Okay. Now, in the event where your GNS3 doesn't come up green and it's gray, there are two things you have to do. Number one, deactivate Windows Defender. So I'm going to type Windows Defender. You can just type Defender. It's going to come up. This one. So click on that. Go to turn off. Let me go back. Turn Windows Defender Firewall on or off. You're going to turn it off. And then just click off, and OK. That's one thing. That could resolve the issue. If that doesn't resolve the issue, again, let me go back and turn it back on because you want to keep this thing on. If that doesn't resolve the issue, or when it does resolve the issue, you can always come back and turn it on, right? So I'm assuming that it resolved the issue, or it didn't resolve the issue. But if it didn't resolve the issue, I'm gonna leave it off. Okay. The next thing I'm gonna have to do is to restart the NIC. the network interface, the VMnet 1. So there's two ways to do that. I can right click on my little icon here, go to advanced, scroll all the way to the bottom, go to advanced, scroll my thing right here. Okay. Go advanced. I think I passed. Let me start it over again. Let me go back one. Okay, advanced, right. And then, so go to advanced network settings, right? And then just what you're gonna do is you're gonna look for your VMnet 1. This is right here. Disable it and then enable it. So if I disable it and I come to GNS3, look at what happens. It's gonna lose communication with the server, right? But I'm gonna go back here and re-enable it. Okay, it's just like bouncing the port on a switch. So it's exactly kind of the same thing you're doing here. There's one way of doing it, right? When you do that, that's gonna fix the issue. So you see it goes red and goes back green. Another way of fixing this issue is this is how you do it on Windows 11. Let's say you have a Windows 10, right? On Windows 10, you right click there and click on network settings. It's going to take you to a completely different page because Windows 11 and Windows 10 it looks slightly different. But let me show you how to do the Windows 10 and Windows 7 one. You're just going to go to Control Panel. Click on that. See, I search for Control Panel. I'm going to go to the network settings, network sharing center, change adapter settings. Takes me here. I'm going to search for my VMnet 1, right click, disable. It's going to disable it, and I'm going to come back and say enable. That's how I'm going to fix it, right? So just to prove that it's working, if we click on status, see, it shows you how many packets have been sent and how many packets have been received. So that means communication is going, TCP is what? Three-way handshake, back and forth. Perfect. So that's how you fix it if you run into that kind of issue, right? So had it been we had a little crazy thing where we messed up the, let's go here to the VM. Let's say here, when we went to the virtual networking thing, well, we set up the DHCP. I'm gonna click on that. Click on one. And see how we say start with one? Yeah, that's actually wrong. The reason why the reason why the server is taking it because I had this thing installed before. Okay, I had it installed before and had a little issue, the same issue. So I'm trying to create the issue so you can see it, so I can show you how to fix it. It didn't work, but it's working right now because already cache makes it to recognize the server. Because when I fix it, it works. So it works even though it looks wrong. So when you set up a DHCP pool, make sure you start this thing with 2, so that way you're excluding .1 just for your computer. So that way the DHCP is not going to lease, it's going to go borrow a .1 to to the server. Okay, the server is pulling .2 right now. See, .2, because it recognizes it from when I fixed it. But when you start it, you're gonna have an issue. It's gonna take .1. It cannot take .1. .1 is for your local PC, right? And you're gonna have some issues with GNS3. So that's the end of this video. So I hope, again, let me show you how, before I end the video, I'm going to show you how to close this thing the right way. You do not come here and close the VM workstation. No, you have no business with the VM workstation. When it's working, just leave it to work. All you have to do is mess around with the GNS3. Let's say you're done with the GNS3. All you have to do is come in here and exit out. But before I exit out, again, let me show one last thing, just to play around, how to play around GNS3. Oh, actually, you know what? We're gonna move this to the next video. Okay, in the next video, I'm gonna show you how to play around with the environment for GNS3. So let's X this out. And that closes. See how that shuts down the machine automatically? You just have to X that out. Done. All right. So it's been great first video, actually how to set up the is part one for setting up GNS3. So there's a part two where we're going to continue actually add the images to the GNS3. We're going to have to add images, the Cisco images, the Palo Alto images, so we'll be able to images of the network devices, right? So that you can start getting your videos and you'll be able to do the hands-on, right? Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next part.